Okay, so welcome everyone to Wines of Italy, and in collaboration with the Winestudio for the second time now with Tina Mori. And today we have Montefioralle as guests. Again, I think there's a bit of echo now, but it might go away. So from Montefioralle tonight we have Lorenzo as last time, and Alessia, his sister. So do you want to present yourself something, Tina, before we move on to have Alessia
Sure.
and Lorenzo present themselves?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Tina Mori of Winestudio. Katerina and I finally joined after, I think, a year or so, Katerina, discussing it.
Yeah, I think it's even more than a year.
I said, well, what are you going to do? You're in Italy, and I'm Italian, so there you go. But I'm super excited to be with Alessia and Lorenzo Ciani of Montefioralle Winery. And again, this is our second evening with them, and looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you. So, Alessia, do you want to present yourself? Because Lorenzo, you know a bit already, so...
I am the oldest daughter, so, but not the owner. I work in the winery. My role is to receive the visitors in our cellar, in our winery, to talk with them about our work.
Right. And also
Polvere.
like that. That's
what
it.
else you want to... what did you do before you became the owner of Montefioralle?
Oh, that's a good question.
Not the owner, Katerina.
No.
Before, nothing. Nothing, I think. Part of me has grown in the winery because when I was a child, every weekends I was in the winery when there were my grandparents. So I don't remember what
I saw a video of you and your father sorting grapes, Alessia, I think for the vintage, 2017 vintage. And you look quite badass. You knew exactly what you were doing.
During harvest.
Yes, the harvest video.
Mentre io raccolgo l'uva, che cosa stavamo facendo?
Which video?
Which video?
You found the video from last year.
It was last year.
Yeah. Yes. We were selected the grapes for the second time.
Right.
The people that pick up the grapes select very well the first time, and before to put the grapes into the machine that throws away the stalk, we select again. Usually me, my father, or Lorenzo sometimes, and my nephew, our nephew, Sebastiano, to be sure that just the good grapes go into the tanks. Is important. So it's very important.
It's a second check for the quality of the grape before putting fermentation vat.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
And
I just wanted to say hello to Angela and Jennifer, who are here listening, and some others, I think. So if we start with it's not really a question, but if you, Alessia, since the last time Lorenzo and your father Fernando talked about memories from the 50 harvest. Of course, you don't remember all 50 harvests, but I don't know. Do you have any special memory or anything you want to share about your part in the in the winery and the things you
There are a lot of memories, but when I was very young, the harvest was a special event and a special occasion to stay with friends and all the family. So I remember something about the direction of my father of every moments of the harvest. Like si può dire un direttore d'orchestra.
Like orchestra director.
Yes.
My father used to
with arms and voice. Stop, go, not now, later. And everyone of us
had to obey. If not, he started to scream. And,
yes. And most of all, the lunch time and the dinner time. Yes, I remember the end of the day and when all was done.
So, what did you help out with the most when you were younger?
We cut just grapes with attention and care. And I remember that my grandfather, usually walked around and to check our work.
To check that every grape was cut, and he also used to check in the ground if we miss some grapes. And after the harvest, he used to make a second check in the vineyard, and he used to get another couple of baskets of grape that we didn't see or we threw in the ground accidentally.
You're laughing now as adults, but as children, did you like it, or did you feel it was somewhat forced labor?
No. I like. Yes.
Yeah.
Once in a year.
That's true. Exactly, just once. Now, do either of you have children? Are your children helping out in the vineyard as well?
Yes, I have two sons, and they now one is 18 and one is 15. Oh. They now are take care just of their friends and their study.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
The winery is just the mom job. Okay, but they usually help us during the harvest or the bottling day. Yes.
We have also another sister that Elisa, and she doesn't drink alcohol. And so she's not involved in the winery, but her son, Sebastiano, that now is 12,
wow.
He loved to come at the winery and make ask for a job, ask for some task to accomplish. And he really liked this kind of word. Sometimes he tried to drink some wine.
Of course.
he actually don't like it, but
No,
he tried to drink.
So there was a question from Jennifer. She wanted to know if, she says the wine industry is so male dominated. How is it as a woman in Italy to be part of the wine business?
No.
Che l'industria del vino è dominata dagli uomini.
Così come no. There is an important female
Yes.
female run in our we are 2 men and 2 women. Yes.
Me and my father, the man, and
me and my sister-in-law is
my wife.
Yes.
So you're on an equal ground.
Yeah.
Did you have anything more to ask here?
Me on the subject? No, we're good. Yeah.
So should we continue to talk a bit more about the terroir and the grapes? So I was thinking to start, if you could talk a bit more. I know we mentioned it last time, but what makes the area in Montefioralle so unique? I mean, also, I know that you talked about the glacier and that the soil has a particular composition which makes the wines a bit typical. Do you want to say something more about
Yes, the terroir of Montefioralle used to be a glacier many thousands of years ago, and so it's very rocky. There are a lot of limestone, and a part of especially in altitude, as our vineyard are about 400 of meters above the sea level. The soil is rocky, so it can drain a lot the rain, and for this reason, the vines to find the water have to put the roots very deep in the soil, and it means a better quality for the grapes, because deeper roots means a better extraction of nutrients, mineral, and very important. In addition, if the soil is dry, the fungus disease is harder to attack the grape, and the vine with a rocky soil usually produce less quantity of grape. That always means a better quality. And also the climate, not only the soil, but also the climate, because our vineyards are southeast faced. Is a good exposure, especially in the recent year, because now with the global warming, having a total south-faced vineyards could be a problem, because it is too hot, and the vines used to have too much sun, and with a southeast faced vineyard, in the afternoon there is some shadow on the vines, and they can stay fresher. Yes. And especially in vintages, in very warm vintages like 17 or 12, 11, was very helpful.
That sounds.
How is 2018 shaping up?
I think it's very good. It remembers me for the moment, the 2013,
Yes.
2013, so a very wet spring. And fresh but sunny summer. And it means that the plants receive the good quantity of ray light per day, but the temperature outside is not so hot. It's not 40, 45 degrees Celsius like the 17, but is less than 30 during the days, and in during these nights there are about 15 degrees. So the difference of temperature from day and night is very important to fix the aromas, the flavors, and to keep the acidity on the vine, and so in the grapes.
So what is your, at this time of the year, what is your protocol for the vineyard? What are you doing now?
In this period, we had to cut just a little bit the vines and set all the branches right. And now we are going to start the green harvest.
The green harvest that we usually do for the vines that we use to make the Riserva. Usually we cut half of the bunches from them and throw them away. Instead, 7, 8 bunches, that is the right number for the right ripening of all the grapes. We live on about 3, 4 of them.
Yes, per plant. Yes. 1 kilo of grape per plant instead of 2
kilos,
or 2.5 kilos. So
in this way, we have more concentrated grapes. And we are sure that the wine is enough complex, enough strong to age in barrels 2 years or 30 months like the Gran Selezione. Yes.
So when you have your Chianti Classico and your Riserva. So, and I'm sorry I don't know this, but at what point in time, you have a very small. You only have 2 hectares? Is that correct? 5
yes, actually, 3 hectares, okay. So 7.5 acres.
Okay. So at what point do you know already, or the rows, or do you know what's going into the Chianti Classico, or what's going into the Riserva, or what will be to the IGT? At what point do you know, or do you know already which going to be?
Okay, the plants, the vines for the IGT are different varieties.
Okay.
Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. So there are only a few grapes, a few vines that our father decided to plant in the 80s. And for Riserva, Riserva and regular Chianti Classico is the same blend, so 90% of Sangiovese, the rest is Canaiolo and Colorino.
Okay.
But for Riserva, we use the oldest vines, the vines that are on average 30 years old. And so they have their roots very deep in the soil. I told you before that it means a better quality.
Sure.
And on these vines, we make the green harvest, and we reduce the quantity of grape per plant to get a better concentration.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Lingaudi asked Canaiolo and Colorino, no? You have Canaiolo and Colorino as... as addition.
Yes.
Then Angela wanted to know again about that she said she has read that the territory in Montefioralle can be considered a cru in terms of soil composition and microclimate and how that impact your wines. I think you talked a bit about that.
Yeah.
Do you want to repeat?
Yes, we can define the Chianti Classico in Montefioralle with a higher minerality.
Yes.
Softer tannins, and sometimes, especially in the fresh vintages, lot of floral scents, not only fruits but also floral aromas.
So you mentioned fresh vintages, so that would probably be this vintage, 2018, correct?
Yes, probably. Yeah. Yes, for the moment.
Yeah, well, yeah, they can change.
True.
Yes, about the varieties, Sangiovese.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's talk a bit about the Sangiovese and.
Sangiovese, it's a noble grape with a lot of character. It's acid and tannic when it's young. Canaiolo is help the Sangiovese to be smoother.
Yes, especially when it's young.
Canaiolo
gives some mellowness into the wine, not particular aromas or flavors, but can help the Sangiovese to be smoother
and drinkable. Drinkable. That's the reason, because it's one of the traditional variety in the Chianti Classico. Colorino, the name gives color.
Yes, because Sangiovese is not a strong colored varieties.
Yes.
The color is light, so to give some extra color into the wine, people used and we use to add some colorino.
Yes.
And the colorino also doesn't give any other particular aromas or flavor into the wine, so they can preserve the character of the Sangiovese without cover it.
Yes.
Other wineries, for example, decide to add some Merlot, for example, to let the Sangiovese smoother. But this kind of varieties are usually stronger than Sangiovese. So, especially when it's young, they cover the Sangiovese character, and we always thought that the right ways was use a traditional blend, maybe wait more time, keep the wine 1 year more in the cellar.
1 year more in the cellar.
And then in the bottle.
Yes.
For this reason, for example, our Gran Selezione, Chianti Classico Gran Selezione, that is 100% of Sangiovese. We bottled the 2015 in June, but we will release this wine only in 2020. So after more than 1 year in the bottle.
Okay, so I just wanted to say hello to those who came in late. I think there's also your friends, Brent, I think his name now.
Yes. we saw his comment.
And Jill is also here, and Lynn. So Lynn asked before about why you use Canaiolo and Colorino, but I think we're happy with the answers, that there are the traditional grapes, the Tuscan traditional native grapes, and that they each give something to the Sangiovese to smooth it out.
We explain why we use, but I can also explain why other don't use, because they are very difficult to grow. Canaiolo is very hard to reach the perfect ripeness, and Colorino is very small, so the quantity per plant is very few. So other people prefer to use easier to grow varieties such as Merlot, such as Cabernet, for this reason.
So if you're happy with your answer, Lynn, otherwise you have to ask something to ask more. So Brent wonders if you think that your Gran Selezione will always be 100% Sangiovese.
Yes. It was there is a story about it. We made the Gran Selezione, the first release in 2013. And my idea was 100% of Sangiovese, but our enologist suggested to add a 30% of Merlot. And our father wanted to try, so I prepared two different barrels. One 100% of Sangiovese, and another one with not really 30%, but 25 probably percent of Merlot.
Yes.
And after 30 months, we made a blind wine testing, so we didn't know which one of the barrel was, and all the family and also the enologist says that the 100% of Sangiovese was better. So after this, I think it will be the Sangiovese is the main varieties of Tuscany. It's very important to work in the territory, the terroir, and with the Gran Selezione that we produce in very small quantity. The first release was only 300 bottle. The second release, the 2015, only 600. So we can wait. We can wait more time, as I told you before. We can wait 2 years after the bottling, so we can use 100% of Sangiovese.
Yeah, because as you have your winery more as a family passion, no, you're not dependent upon the market or.
Yes, it was always a side business for us, so we sell only in direct sell in the moment, so we can explain to people why we made some choice, why our wines are not ready to drink when they are young.
Yes.
And people appreciate it.
Yes.
And they usually buy and keep. If they have a cellar or a place to store correctly.
So we are just a family that for 3 generations is producing wine. We try to do it with care and passion, because we believe that both of these two elements are necessary for this type of work. And for us, opening our cellar, our winery, is like welcoming friends into our home. Friends which whom we talk about what we love doing. And it's that simple.
It seems as though you have more freedom too to experiment and blind taste, like you're saying. Because it's not, you don't rely on the winery for your livelihood. It's a side business, so there's a bit of freedom involved with it, and that's a good thing.
Yes, we have freedom, but the problem is that experiment in viticulture and winemaking is a very long process. If you start to experiment from the vine, you have to wait that the vine started to produce grape after 4 years after planting. Then you have to wait at least 15 years that they put the roots deep in the soil. When you crush the grape, you have to wait 1, 2, 3 years in the cellar. Then you bottle, and probably you have to wait the peak of the result after 10 years. So every experiment takes a lot of time. Yes. And I think that one life is too short to experiment everything that you want.
No.
Agree. At any point in time, did either of you say, "Oh shit, what did we do? Why are we in this?" I don't think so. You seem very happy with what you're doing.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. They always seem very content, so I don't think they have any. So there was Jill, who before, when you talked about the Canaiolo and Colorino, she made a comment something like, sometimes the most difficult to grow result in the most beautiful wines.
And
that's fairly correct.
Can you translate the question, because I can't understand?
No, she forms it as a question, but it's more a comment. So a volte le cose più difficili da coltivare o di fare poi
risultato di vini migliori.
Okay, yes, it's correct.
I think
the same for the vintage. Sometimes after the very hard summer and hard work in the vineyard, the wine gives us a lot of result. Yes, and we surprise every time.
Okay.
Nice.
To answer
I think you already explained why you choose such challenging grape varieties as
for the same reason, because we can, it's harder work, but we can get a better result. We can get a wine that describe the territory, describe the real character of the region, and without using in our Chianti Classico the international varieties, we can make a wine from the terroir, not a wine that is similar to other wine in the world.
So Brent asked, which has been your favorite vintage?
People usually ask this, and it's impossible for me to answer, because every vintage has its own history, and every wine has a kind of individuality, and we just try to let this individuality to transpire, to come over.
Our father always says we can choose a favorite favorite child, and it's the same. Every vintage is different, and it's very difficult. Yes, there are some vintages that give a wine that can age better, of course. But the past year, I remember the 2013, the 2010, the 16, and the 2006, 2004, 2001 was very good, and but it's difficult to compare because you should have to have a tasting in the same moment, but at the same status. When you taste in the same moment the 2001 and the 2016, there are 15 years of aging, and you can't compare with together.
No, that's true. So let's go over to the two wines, because I see that Tina has opened one of the wines.
Of course. Yes.
I forgot. I only had a 2009 still from the wines that I got from you some year ago, but it's in the office and I'm at home now. But so I think should we start? Hello, Lloyd. We also have Lloyd from UK here. So I don't know. Do you want to talk a bit about the 14, the vintage? Because I mean, many says that 14 was a really difficult year, but still, I think there are several wines that are very good, and yours is one among them. So I don't know. Do you want to say something of the highlights, the typical things of the 2014, and then perhaps if Tina says what she thinks when she's tasting.
We are comparing two typologies: the Chianti Classico Annata, so the regular 2015, and the Chianti Classico Riserva 2014. So are two different typologies of wine, and two very different vintages. So the 15 was a vintage very warm, very hot, especially in June and July. So we got a very powerful wine, very rich, very ripe. So it's a wine very strong and bold. Is a wine that is 14.5% of alcohol. Usually for the regular Chianti Classico, we used to make 13.5. 14.5 was unbelievable for the regular. And so this is the main character. Powerful is the main character of the 15 wines. On the opposite, the 2014 was a very difficult vintage because we had a lot of rain during the summer, from the middle of June to August, all July. And to preserve the quality, the only way was cut and reduce the quantity. Not only for the green harvest, for the Riserva, for everything. When the grapes started to have some rot, to turning bad, we had to cut and throw. And in September, the sun arrived. We tried to wait as more time as possible, and then we had to pick the grape. I remember that the health of the grape was not so good. It was very hard to believe to make a good wine that vintage. Probably Brent will remember because he took a part of the harvest. And even in the harvest, we had to discard a lot of grape to separate the good grapes from the bad. And we made almost the half, 40% less. We made only 1,800 of bottle of Riserva instead of 3,000 we made in the 2015, for example. And but we are so proud of the result because the wine 14 is very complex in aromas and flavor. Is elegant. It's not so powerful like the 15, but it is very elegant and easy to drink. You can finish a bottle on your own, and there are a lot of soft aromas and flavor. And it's a wine that can age because the acidity is high, and I think that when we try to open a bottle of Riserva 14 that is finished, is sold out in this moment, we keep 18 bottles just for the family. If we open in 10 years, it will be a very good wine to drink.
Yeah, I think so too.
They're absolutely stunning, yeah, and so different, yeah. So the aging potential then for most of your wines, at least 10 years, if not more, yeah?
Depends of
The vintage, sure.
The typology and the vintage.
Yeah.
Usually on average, I suggest 10 years for the 10, 12 years for Riserva. Maybe for the regular Chianti Classico 5, 6 years, but in good vintage you can double and make 10, 12 for the regular, and maybe almost 20 for Riserva.
Can we talk a little bit about pricing for your wines? Because I don't think we've broached that subject yet.
No,
especially for the American market. I know you sell direct to the States.
Yes, actually we don't have an importer or distributor, any middleman, because of the small quantity we produce.
Right.
We are able to ship, for example, in US directly because we have an importer that made all the bureaucracy for us.
Correct.
But the invoice is from us to the final customer.
Okay.
So importers and these distributors make only operation for custom and bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And our Chianti Classico Riserva is 26 euros per bottle. I think $30.
Yeah.
And the regular Chianti Classico, the Nata, is 12, so $14. I think, and the wine shipped, we can ship 12 bottles for 57 euros, so something more than $60 to have the case shipped at home. So I think is less than buy a bottle of Chianti Classico in a different way.
In the Vincenta?
Vinsanto is 25 per bottle.
Yes,
25, and is a half liter. It's not 0.75.
Okay, thank you. A bargain, actually.
Brent says that nobody in Italy is easier forwarding and shipping to the States than Montefioralle.
Yes.
He's your biggest fan.
Yes, because we believe that for our small production, direct sale is very important.
Yes.
So in 15 years, we developed a network of people to shipping company to have a easier and cheaper way to ship to US, but actually in a lot of other parts of the world legally and fast and as cheaper as we can.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant when you shipped wine to everyone. It was done quickly and really well done.
Yeah. No, it was very fast. So I don't know if anyone has any more questions. Otherwise, don't know. Tina, do you want to add something about the wine? Now she went away. I don't know. Do you want anything else you want the people to know about Montefioralle that you think is important to understand your your winery and what you do?
Sorry, my battery.
Don't worry. Do you want to say something about the wine, Tina, or do you want to say it for your chat, or?
Do I want to say something about the wines? They're delicious. You can definitely tell the difference. The alcohol is fairly similar, I think, but the 2015 is just like you said. It's super powerful. It's kind of in your face, but lovely. There's a cherried candy type of quality. It's delicious. And the 2014 needs time. It needs a lot more time. It's still kind of a little tight. But I just opened it, so I think a few hours it's going to give a heck of a lot more. But it's a bit more herbaceous, much like I haven't had a Chianti in forever, but it's much more what I view Chianti as, more herbaceous, not as much fruit forwardness. Is that right?
Yes, yes. What I said before, that in fresh vintages is not only fruit forward, but there is other sense. I also believe that is dry flowers and something about wet.
There's like a loaminess on it. Yeah.
I'm
Forest.
not so good to describe in English the scents and the aromas.
Yeah.
Because it's a different way from Italian way. Yes, there are different kind of terms we can translate literally. But I think that is more complex. And this is the Sangiovese. Sangiovese is not only fruit forward wine, is a wine that aging that can give a sense of tobacco and also some chocolate that came not from the barrels but from the grape and the aging.
There's a distinct dustiness about it. It's wet, but at the same time, there's this dust, much like a lot of California wines, especially in Rutherford, California. They have that dustiness about them. It's beautiful, but there's also a creamy. Not even talking about the palate, just on the nose. There's this. All I can explain. I don't know, Kat. I don't know. it's really nice.
Yeah.
I think that this kind of wine has his personal identity. You can easily recognize this wine in blind testing. For example, if you put the glass in the middle of a Californian wine, you can easily recognize which is our Chianti Classico Riserva.
Yeah, Lingari says also, because I also agree that there's this kind of herbaceous or something like herbs.
So what I intend to say before, fresh evergreen trees in a forest after a spring rain. Yes.
Grazie.
Thank you for the hint.
You find it very well. Thanks, Lynn.
That's awesome.
And I agree also on the cream, but I don't know how I would define that. But there is a bit of, I don't know if it's like a mix between the fruit and these notes that comes with aging a bit with, as you said, with the chocolate and tobacco. But I mean, it becomes a bit between balsamic and creamy, which I think is also...
Yeah.
Then we have Robin, who says, no, that was Lynn, who says something that she agrees on the dustiness and that she was impressed with the softness of the two wines, though they still have a structure and acidity. And she says that she felt the dried violet.
Violet, yes, cherry almond.
Especially in the 2014, violet is a typical sense of Sangiovese.
Yes.
Thank you, Robin.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we forgot to mention that the violet is the typical flower of the Sangiovese.
Yeah.
It's funny though. You need to coax it a bit. It doesn't come out right away, which is nice.
No, that's true. That's true. Jill, you haven't tasted them, I think. You have to come and taste them in Montefioralle. So I don't know. Anything you want to add, any of you? I don't know if anybody wants to take part in the harvest. I think you can write to Alessia and Lorenzo.
It's not so easy now because there are strong rules on to follow the law, because to prevent payment in black and other kind of stuff is not allowed to have volunteers.
No.
We can only hire people with a contract. So it's not so easy. We used to celebrate the harvest and have the harvest with friends, with relatives, but now is not more possible. Relatives are permitted, but friends no. So during the past year, the friends came maybe just for the dinner, for the lunch, but they can't cut the grape. Probably is better for them because they have not to work. They can.
But we have lost very specialized people, specialized to harvest.
Yes, because they used to help us for many years, so they became a specialist in harvest. Yes. But now we have, starting from 3 years ago, we have a good team of students that came, and they work very well.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So the people who wants to come, you can come and watch, and then you can.
Yes, just watch and maybe have a lunch with us.
Tina, do you want to say something more before we round it up?
Yeah, so you all have a lot of events going on. You have a lot of dinners, and I've been just kind of tooling around the internet and researching you guys, and I I've only seen good things written, and everybody wants to come back, and you're very gracious hosts, and the wine is fantastic, and the food. Oh, maybe we should talk about some pairings. You know, what do you normally serve with your wines? Maybe we should touch on that a moment.
Okay, we can actually serve lunch or full meals because we are not a restaurant.
Yes.
We used to serve just a small quantity of food to pair our wines. So in the past we used to serve a common food, but now we decide to switch in a better pair wine and food. So we serve just a small slice of polenta. Polenta is made from how we can translate polenta?
I think everywhere. I don't think you translate polenta.
Okay.
No, polenta. Yeah.
It's
okay.
Kind of,
it's a polenta with ragu, so meat sauce, and our
I grew up on
oil on a slice of bread. Another slice of bread with tomatoes, and 2 small meatballs. And for the last glass of wine that usually is our Vinsanto, some
cantuccini.
Made by you, no?
That's it. And I think that people remains impressed not only by the food that is very simple, and the wine we hope, but I think they feel very welcoming when they came in Montefioralle for a wine tasting. Our wine tasting are always private, so if you are 2 people, you stay for only 2 people. So it's important because we can speak at different level, depends on the people that came, and maybe they are wine experts, so we can talk from different arguments than a simple curious that come to taste the wine and doesn't know that the wine is made from the grape, and it happens. And I think that a genuine family-run business is the secret of our success.
Yes, great.
Vuoi dire qualcos'altro su questo, sul fatto?
No, che altro l'ho detto prima.
Ok.
No, I think so too. I mean, I of course have been there several times, so I think it's definitely their family touch. But it's also very beautiful because they do the tastings in this small pergola where you have the view of the Montefioralle.
Yes.
The landscape and the view.
The view is just fantastic, I think.
Yes.
And I don't know. Do you want to mention tomorrow that I might do a video from the vineyard, or do you want to keep it a secret until?
No. We can say yes. Tomorrow, Katarina and some of her friends are coming to have a special dinner at Montefioralle. So we are going to make some live streaming about it. So you can see with a real light because. Here now is dark. It's not possible to make at this time live streaming outside, so we have to stay inside. Tomorrow we can show the landscape.
Yeah, so it's like a dinner, I think, which is part of the activities for the 50 harvests. So Lee from the Winey Hour, Lee Valentine, will be there, who is from New York. And she's in Florence for 10 days now. And Laura McDonald, who is an American who lives in Florence too, who organizes wine tours, who is also a FISAR person, which is the local sommelier association. And then there's some other local people who will come. There's another American who is also here now. She used to work in Napa, I think. And I think she has Italian origin, so she decided she wanted to live for a while in Italy. So it's a bit of people to kind of be able to share about Montefioralle also in real life, to make them more present in this 50 harvest celebration. So I don't know, anything else before we finish, so we can be rested for the Twitter chat at 3 a.m. this night, and 9 p.m. for you in the US. Do you have anything to add, Tina?
It's a terrible time. It's a terrible time for you guys. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
If you don't make it, I completely understand. But I think we're going to have fun regardless with these wines. So thank you so much for your time and your wines and speaking with us. I know everybody had a great time, and I know tonight is going to be fantastic. Thank you so much.
And thank you too for the opportunity to explain our wines and our winery.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you to all of you who were here, like everyone from Angela to Jill to all the others, Lloyd, Trent, of course, Robin, Jennifer, Robin again, and I hope to see you this night at the Twitter chat. And thank you, Lorenzo and Alessia, again for being on the live stream, and to Tina for tasting the wines while we were live. So see you tonight at the Twitter chat, and
I have to set my alarm at 3 a.m.
Me too.
So I will be not so brilliant.
And
I'll do my best.
Okay, that sounds.
We'll take it easy on you.
I will be there, so that's okay. Yeah, ciao to Lynn too, and see you soon. And
I know you're wonderful at it. Actually, you're a pro.
Thank you. So I don't know when the next collaboration video with Tina will be, but we will be back with more information. And so have a nice evening, and see you all soon. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.